Sarcasm, ironic mockery. Sarcasm is perhaps humanity's most sophisticated form of verbal weaponry, where the speaker says one thing but means exactly the opposite. It's the art of wielding irony to create humor through deliberate contradiction between words and their intended meaning. What makes sarcasm particularly fascinating is its reliance on shared understanding. For sarcasm to work, both speaker and audience must recognize the gap between what's said and what's meant. It's like a secret handshake of intelligence when someone says, "Oh, brilliant." After a foolish action, everyone involved must understand the true meaning for the humor to land. The psychological power of sarcasm lies in its dual nature. It can serve as both social bonding tool and subtle aggression. Among friends, it creates insider moments of shared understanding. In conflict, it becomes a sophisticated form of criticism that's harder to defend against than direct attacks. It's like throwing a velvet-covered brick. The impact is softened but still felt. The most profound aspect of sarcasm is how it reveals human intelligence and social complexity. Our ability to understand and use sarcasm develops relatively late in childhood, marking it as an advanced form of social cognition. It requires understanding context, tone, social norms, and multiple levels of meaning simultaneously, making it a uniquely human form of humor that even AI struggles to master perfectly. Wordplay, linguistic humor. Wordplay represents the playful intersection of intelligence and language, where humor emerges from the clever manipulation of words' multiple meanings, sounds, or structures. It's like solving a puzzle where the reward is laughter instead of completion. This form of humor operates on multiple linguistic levels simultaneously. A simple pun, for instance, isn't just about similar-sounding words, it's about the sudden cognitive shift when our brain jumps between different meanings. Take time flies like an arrow, fruit flies like a banana. The humor comes from the unexpected reorganization of meaning mid-sentence. What makes wordplay particularly fascinating is its cultural specificity yet universal appeal. While specific puns or jokes may not translate between languages, every culture has its own forms of wordplay. It's like each language is a different instrument, but all can create music through clever manipulation of their unique properties. The most sophisticated aspect of wordplay is how it reveals the plasticity of language itself. By playing with words, we expose the arbitrary nature of linguistic conventions while simultaneously celebrating their power. It's a form of humor that makes us both masters and students of language, showing how the same tools we use for serious communication can create joy through clever manipulation.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more topics you love.
Situational comedy, circumstantial humor. Situational comedy emerges from the perfect storm of circumstances, timing and human nature colliding in unexpected ways. It's like watching a complex machine where every gear and lever must align perfectly to produce laughter. The power of situational comedy lies in its relatability. When we watch characters navigate awkward or challenging situations, we see reflections of our own experiences. This creates a powerful emotional connection through shared human experience. It's why watching someone try to maintain dignity while slowly realizing they have toilet paper stuck to their shoe can be universally funny. What makes this type of humor particularly effective is its basis in reality. Unlike more constructed forms of comedy, situational humor often feels organic and unforced. The humor arises naturally from the circumstances rather than being imposed from outside. Think of it as life's natural comedy rather than its staged performance. The most profound aspect of situational comedy is how it reveals the inherent absurdity in everyday life. By highlighting the gap between our expectations and reality, between our plans and their execution, it shows us the humor inherent in the human condition. It's a reminder that sometimes the funniest things in life are the ones we didn't plan for. Physical comedy, slapstick. Physical comedy represents one of humanity's most primal forms of humor, transcending language and cultural barriers through the universal language of the body. It's like pure visual music that makes us laugh through movement rather than words. The genius of physical comedy lies in its ability to tap into our basic instincts and shared experiences. When we see someone slip on a banana peel, we're not just laughing at their misfortune, we're experiencing a complex mix of relief that it's not us, recognition of our own similar experiences, and appreciation for the perfect timing and execution of the fall. What makes physical comedy particularly powerful is its immediacy. Unlike verbal humor, which requires processing and understanding, physical comedy bypasses our intellectual filters and goes straight to our emotional core. It's why Charlie Chaplin and Mr. Bean can make audiences laugh worldwide without speaking a word. The most sophisticated aspect of physical comedy is its precise timing and control. What looks like chaos is actually carefully choreographed performance art. Like a ballet of blunders, every stumble, fall, and facial expression must be perfectly timed and executed to create the desired effect. This combination of apparent accident and actual precision makes physical comedy both an art form and a science. Dark humor, gallows humor. Dark humor is humanity's psychological defense mechanism against life's harshest realities, transforming pain, fear, and taboo subjects into sources of laughter. It's like turning on a light in a dark room, not to eliminate the darkness, but to make it more manageable. This form of humor operates as a sophisticated coping mechanism, allowing us to process difficult truths through the buffer of comedy. When we joke about death, disaster, or our deepest fears, we're not diminishing their seriousness, we're finding ways to confront them without being overwhelmed. What makes dark humor particularly fascinating is its paradoxical nature. It often makes us laugh at things we shouldn't find funny, creating a cognitive dissonance that itself becomes part of the humor. This tension between the tragic and the comic creates a unique kind of laughter that can feel both uncomfortable and liberating. The most profound aspect of dark humor is its role in human resilience. Throughout history, from soldiers in trenches to medical professionals in emergency rooms, people have used dark humor to maintain sanity in seemingly insane situations. It's a testament to the human spirit's ability to find light even in the darkest corners of existence. Satire, social commentary. Satire is the intellectual warrior of comedy, wielding humor as a weapon against society's flaws, hypocrisies, and absurdities. It's like a mirror that shows us not just our reflection, but the grimaces and blemishes we usually prefer to ignore. The power of satire lies in its ability to criticize while entertaining. By wrapping serious criticism in the cloak of humor, it can deliver harsh truths in a more palatable form. Think of how shows like The Daily Show or Saturday Night Live can make pointed political commentary while still making audiences laugh. What makes satire particularly effective is its use of exaggeration and irony to expose truth. By taking something to its logical extreme or highlighting its inherent contradictions, satire forces us to see familiar things in a new light. It's like using a magnifying glass, not just to make things bigger, but to focus the heat of scrutiny until it burns through pretense. The most sophisticated aspect of satire is its dual role as both entertainment and agent of social change. Through history, from Jonathan Swift to modern comedians, satirists have used humor to challenge power, question assumptions, and push for social reform. It's proof that laughter can be not just a response to life, but a tool for changing it. Observational comedy, everyday life. Observational comedy is the art of making the mundane magnificent, transforming everyday experiences into sources of shared laughter. It's like having a comedian's microscope that reveals the hidden absurdity in our most routine activities. What makes observational comedy particularly powerful is its universal relatability. When a comedian points out the strange way we all behave while waiting for an elevator or the unspoken rules of grocery shopping, they're not just making observations, they're creating moments of collective recognition. It's as if they're reading our secret diary of thoughts we never knew we shared. The genius lies in its ability to make us see the familiar in unfamiliar ways. A skilled observational comedian acts like a social anthropologist, dissecting common behaviors until they seem wonderfully weird. Why do we all say ow before actually getting hurt? Why do we wave at people who can't see us through tinted windows? The most profound aspect is how it validates our shared human experience. When we laugh at observational comedy, we're not just enjoying humor, we're experiencing relief in knowing that our quirks and private thoughts are actually universal. It's a form of comedy that doesn't just entertain, it connects us through the recognition of our common humanity. Self-deprecating humor, self-mockery. Self-deprecating humor is the art of turning oneself into the punchline, a sophisticated form of comedy that requires both confidence and vulnerability. It's like being both the comedian and the comedy club's brick wall, taking hits but staying standing. The psychological power of self-deprecation lies in its disarming nature. When someone can laugh at their own flaws or failures, they create a safe space for others to do the same. It's a form of emotional alchemy that transforms potential embarrassment into shared entertainment. What makes this type of humor particularly effective is its ability to build connections through shared imperfection. By acknowledging their own flaws, the humorist breaks down social barriers and creates an atmosphere of authenticity. It's like offering a handshake of humanity. I'm not perfect, you're not perfect. Isn't that hilarious? The most sophisticated aspect is the delicate balance it requires. Too much self-deprecation can seem like fishing for compliments. Too little can make it seem insincere. The best practitioners find that sweet spot where honesty meets humor, creating laughter that heals rather than hurts. Absurdist humor, surreal comedy. Absurdist humor is the jazz of comedy. It breaks all the rules while creating something uniquely meaningful in its meaninglessness. It's like diving into a dream where logic takes a vacation and nonsense becomes profound. This form of humor operates by deliberately violating our expectations of reality and reason. It creates scenarios and connections that shouldn't make sense, but somehow feel right in their wrongness. I think of a banana phone ringing in space while a fish rides a bicycle. It's nonsensical, yet it can make us laugh precisely because of its departure from reality. The power of absurdist humor lies in its liberation from conventional thinking. By abandoning the constraints of logic and reality, it allows us to experience pure creative freedom. It's like mental yoga, stretching our minds into positions we didn't know were possible. The most profound aspect is how it reveals the arbitrary nature of our normal reality. By creating completely impossible situations that still manage to resonate emotionally, absurdist humor shows us that our regular world might be just as arbitrary as we thought. It's comedy that doesn't just make us laugh, it makes us think about why we laugh. Deadpan humor, dry wit. Deadpan humor is the stealth bomber of comedy, delivering punchlines with such straight-faced precision that the laugh often comes with a delayed reaction. It's like telling a joke while pretending you don't know it's a joke, which somehow makes it even funnier. The essence of deadpan lies in the contrast between content and delivery. When someone says something outrageous with the same tone they'd use to discuss the weather, it creates a cognitive dissonance that triggers laughter. The bigger the gap between the message and the messenger's apparent emotional investment, the funnier it becomes. What makes Deadpan particularly sophisticated is its reliance on understatement and timing. Unlike more obvious forms of humor, Deadpan requires perfect control over tone, timing, and facial expressions. It's like being a comedy sniper. One slight twitch can ruin the shot. The most profound aspect is how it plays with social expectations. By maintaining a serious facade while delivering humorous content, Deadpan humor challenges our assumptions about appropriate emotional responses. It's a form of comedy that doesn't just tell jokes. It makes us question the very nature of how we express humor. Parody, imitative comedy. Parody is the funhouse mirror of comedy, reflecting familiar things back to us in deliberately distorted ways. It's like being a comedy archaeologist digging into the layers of what we know and love to find new sources of laughter. The power of parody lies in its dual nature as both tribute and critique. A good parody must understand its target deeply enough to recreate it while simultaneously highlighting its absurdities. It's a delicate balance between respect and ridicule, like roasting your best friend. The jokes land because they come from a place of knowledge. What makes parody particularly effective is its reliance on shared cultural knowledge. When we laugh at a parody, we're not just enjoying the humor, we're participating in a dialogue about our shared experiences and understanding. It's like being part of an inside joke that spans entire cultures. The most sophisticated aspect is how it can transform our perception of the original work. After seeing a brilliant parody, we often can't look at the source material the same way again. It's comedy that doesn't just entertain, it permanently alters how we see the world. Wit, intellectual humor. Wit represents the highest form of intellectual play in comedy, where humor emerges from clever insights and rapid mental connections. It's like watching a master fencer, the thrust and parry of ideas happening so quickly you might miss it if you blink. The essence of wit lies in its combination of intelligence and speed. A truly witty remark isn't just clever, it's immediately clever, produced in the moment rather than carefully constructed beforehand. This spontaneity makes wit one of the most impressive forms of humor, as it reveals not just humor but quick thinking. What makes wit particularly fascinating is its reliance on cultural literacy and mental agility. To be truly witty, one must have a deep well of knowledge to draw from and the ability to make unexpected connections at lightning speed. It's like having a mental library where every book is instantly accessible and can be combined in endless creative ways. The most profound aspect of wit is how it elevates humor to an art form. While other types of comedy might rely on physical comedy or obvious jokes, wit demands engagement from both speaker and audience. It's comedy that doesn't just make us laugh, it makes us think, appreciate, and admire the intellectual dexterity behind the humor.